We got to be skilled at tracking trends. We got to be watching what's going on out there in terms of consumer sentiment, in terms of the dynamic of the marketplace. And as we spot the trends, identify the trends, then we must become skilled at tracking the trends and then strategizing as a result of the trends so that we can capitalize on them rather than become victims of them. Great entrepreneurial thinkers are really good at trend tracking. They have an alertness factor about what's going on in their market and in the national market. And they keep a good handle on that. Let me tell you one of the trends that's going on that I had a lot of fun tracking. At U.S. Learning, we created a model called The Evolution of Selling. My co-author, Ken Blanchard, has a great line. He says, the greatest salespeople today are the men and the women who lead with their ears. Write that one down, too. Lead with your ears. You see, years ago, the greatest salespeople were the people who stereotypically did all the talking. They said, boy, let me tell you about my company. Let me tell you about our service. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about our track record. Let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you. You see, the greatest sales professionals today, I am unswervingly convinced, are the men and the women who say, you know, I'm excited to tell you about some of the things we feel we can do for you, but before we get to there, I want to find out where you're coming from on some things. He said, okay, if I ask you some questions. They love it. It's needs analysis. It's trust building. You see, I am convinced that the very successful entrepreneurial thinkers in business today are becoming rapidly aware of the fact that trust and stress are inversely proportional in business relationships. You see, when we do a good job of building trust, trust goes up and stress comes down. Now, why is it that the product pitch and the hard sell really don't work anymore? It's because they are high-stress sales tactics which cause stress to go up and trust to come down. And that's not good. We got to be so good at dealing with people that we are sincerely doing a great job of building trust. And if we're doing that and doing that well, great things are going to happen. So let me show you, first of all, the undesirable model. And the undesirable model works something like this. Trust is low, stress is very high. Maybe there's some pressure in the means or method of our presentation. It's not working well. Stress goes up. Now, when trust is low and stress is high in a relationship, guess what happens? Our conversion rate becomes much shorter. Simultaneously, we realize that the sales cycle gets longer. The definition of the sales cycle is the length of time which transpires from the time you first talk to someone about a given service until you get an affirmative decision. Sales cycle is measured in time, as you know. The greatest salespeople on the planet, have you ever thought about it? The best salespeople are the men and the women who just seem to magically possess an inherent ability to compress more achievement and thus more income into a given measurable time frame. And people look at them and they say, that person is no smarter than me. That person is not working any more hours than me. What's going on? They're making 4 times more money than I am. And the answer is, they are compressing more achievement into a given measurable time frame because of their uncanny, atypical skill of building trust and advancing relationships. They're keeping stress low and trust high. Now, sometimes it's challenging. How many of you ever have to deal with a weirdo? Okay? What's a weirdo? Somebody who's different from you, right? How many of you even happen to be sitting next to a weirdo this morning? Anyone at all? Okay. How many of you at this point are pretty sure you got a speaker on the stage who's a little bit weird today? I'm not going to deny that. You know, we've got a southern comedian from down outside of Memphis. His name is Brother Dave Gardner. Brother Dave had a great line. He thought he was being funny, but I thought this was deep psychology. He said, what we've got to remember is everybody's weird once you get to know them. And you know, that's pretty good stuff. Everybody's got their idiosyncrasies, but friends, if there's a communications gap to be closed, it's our job to close that gap, isn't it? Say yes. It's our job to close the gap. We close those gaps, great things happen.